Welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. My name's Ruben. You are looking beautiful today. I like that glint in your eye. Is that for me? Let's jump in. Two young people meet a fateful encounter, the proverbial love at first sight. He is Emperor Franz Joseph of Austria-Hungary. She is Elisabeth von Wittelbach, Princess of Bavaria and sister of the woman Franz is to marry. Okay, so I think definitely there's a certain demographic that will be excited to watch this. Those that love Downton Abbey.
You're a woman with a brain and reasonable ability. Stop whining.
Or The Crown.
Churchill would have had the character to do it face to face.
Period pieces. This'll be your cup of tea. You'll be drawn to this.
We all closed our eyes, our ears, to what was being said about you.
First, I should say this is subtitled, so if you don't like reading subtitles, then you're going to have to listen in the British dub, at least in the UK, which is weird. The mouth movements just don't quite fit the people that are on screen. It's possible, but not great. So always go back to the original language if you can handle it, because that's where you get the subtle nuances of the acting, that's it, with the inflections and tones of the voices, all the feelings. That's what you get. I highly recommend that for this season. There are 6 episodes, an hour long each. And I have to say, I thought this was really riveting. It was really interesting. Now, I am a fan of Downton Abbey, but I'm not a huge fan. I've seen them. I've watched some with my sisters. I've seen one of the movies. I prefer The Crown. I think the writing is tighter, more dramatic, but that's not to say that you can't like all of it. If you like period pieces, this is set in the 19th century. And the first thing that's going to stand out to you is the lavish costumes. They're fantastic. And I don't know why I said costumes in a voice, that because I've been watching these episodes for too long, and now I'm starting to speak like an aristocrat who drinks his cup of tea like this. No, I'm joking. The costumes are amazing, so definitely worth a note if that's something that you're drawn to. The soundtrack and the score very much puts you in the mood and the zone that they're going for, which is dramatic, which is romantic, which has multiple faceted storylines that are on the go, but never draws you away from the arc that is the main thing, which is the story between female and male falling in love, and then seeing all the political movements of royalty get in the way of that. So we have the emperor who has to try and navigate his way in peace in his land, and there is all he's encroaching the countries or people at war. There is war afoot, and they are forcing his hand, trying to get him to be on one side or the other. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to bring peace. He has the idea of bringing their kingdom into the future. I probably renamed the series The Emperor, His Lover, His Mother, and His Bride. There's a lot going on with the relationships and the drama, and that is all very well done with the dialogue that you get, but it also isn't dialogue heavy, so you're not reading too fast if you don't handle the subtitles too well, because there's a lot of subtle nuances, especially with our princess protagonist, or now the Empress to be, for the first 3 episodes, and then the Empress for the second half. And of course you're going to get that massive lavish wedding, which is going to look beautiful and stunning, and it does. But the acting from our Empress or Empress to be is fantastic. There are these emotional ranges that she shows on her face. Sometimes there are things that are said to her that are so vile and underhanded, and you see their range of emotions wipe over her face, from joy, peace and kindness to anger, all kind of just envelop her face, and the way she manages to compose herself. So you get angry for her, you want her to retaliate. There is this flaw that writers continue to do in the wake of trying to keep off the mystery or trying to keep people in peril, that they write a series and movies. This is a thing that's been done for years now and is kind of annoying, and I hope they get out of it somehow. But to keep our mystery going, to keep the story that they want going, they have to keep people from having certain conversations. So they write it in the way that there is always not that conversation happening. Someone will get involved, someone will bump them as something is going to be resolved. There are loads of situations and arguments and even country disputes that could be resolved if the Empress and the Emperor sat down and had a decent conversation of where they sit. If they just decided, okay, we're actually going to do things our way and see where everything falls. Instead, they are controlled or corralled like little sheep, and people puppets being puppeteered by the court and all those around that hold power, like the Emperor's mother. or his brother. People that want a piece of you, that is showcased throughout. It's quite frustrating to see our characters not being able to do or be with who they want or how they want. And so you start off with this amazing romantic story, and then the dramedy comes very quickly in between a family that is broken, two families that meet together, and ultimately they are broken. They're just people, but they have a ridiculous amount of power. And then you add in the rebels, or the rebellious nature of the people that are starving. They want more from their royals, and that is not a thing that's happening. Sometimes, even in the UK, we've had it and we understand it. There's a disparity between the royals of what life is actually like, or Parliament here in the UK, where they implement laws but don't actually know what that means on the ground because they haven't experienced that life. And so they showcase that very well here in amongst the storytelling of the love triangles, or the love between other characters, or the politics that's going on behind the closed doors of the palace grounds. That, and then having the rebel storyline in amongst the war, is a lot of moving pieces. But because the arc is always focused on the relationship, well, for the most part, it doesn't get lost. You don't feel like you don't understand what's going on with all the characters because we have our centralized characters. The acting is fantastic, the score is impeccable, the costume is amazing, the filming is beautiful to look at. There's a particular shot at the end, near the end, which I think is going to upset people because it does kind of leave on a cliffhanger, encapsulates everything that this series is. Episode 6, where it leaves us on the cliffhanger, unfortunately, so I hope we get a second season. Otherwise, gosh, they've just left us hanging in the air with what is happening in the story. But it's so beautifully shot, but the cinematography is a prime example of how you can tell a story without needing any dialogue, or next to no dialogue. It's visually stunning to look at between the costume design and the score that's going on at the same time, but the shot that they've used to show us what's going on with the people and the emotions at the moment is so visually arresting. You'll probably find yourself sitting forward on the seat going, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen now? And then fade to black. But that one shot captures the heart of the whole series. There's so much going on it, between who she is becoming, our Empress, or the Empress to be for the first half, and then is the Empress, to being a wife, to being a royal, to understanding the rules and etiquette, and then knowing what rules to chuck away when you stand up for yourself. There's so much going on that is unsaid, but you get it. Very clever writing. I applaud this. This is one of the best period pieces I've seen in a long time. Gonna give it a strong 4.5 Nicolas Cages out of 5. Thoroughly entertained. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long on Tuesday.